Peace and love, brothers and sisters. I hope all is well with you. This is Teacher Kaitesi. So someone asked me about how many kinds we are as children of the Most High. Like how many groups do I know? I'm going to just talk about the ones I know, okay? So I know about two groups, okay? The ones that I know. I know the warriors because I'm one of those. I'm a soldier. Yeah. So I know the warriors. Now, usually the warriors, we were born outside of families. We are like stepchildren, we are love children, basically. We are not born with the same father and the same mother. We don't usually have brothers and sisters born of the same, okay? So for us, our lives are always much tougher because from the very beginning, we don't try to be like anyone else. We know ourselves from the very beginning. You see, for me, I always knew that I wasn't the same as these other people. I didn't understand how, even before I remembered, before the memories came back, but I always just felt very different, you know? And I never really tried to even fit in. That's the thing with us. We don't really try to fit in. We don't try because we know we are different. We probably don't know why for like a while until you figure out what you are. But we know we are different and we are okay with it. We never really have friends for very long. You can have circles of friends around you, but somehow your friends are more friends with each other than with you. You're like a neutral party within your group of friends. Everyone is your friend. You don't have any, I favor this one more than this one. You just all like them all the same because you somehow know that they are not really like you. So you just basically, treat them the same. And then you watch them treat each other differently, You always see that this one has a best friend, this one is their closest friend, and they're both responsive to being the best friends. But for us, even when someone calls you their best friend, they never see you shift into treating them more special than everyone else. So somehow, sooner than later, those people that have called us best friends, they resent us for it, okay? Because they never see us trying to respond to becoming closer with them. Also, because we're usually stepchildren or love children, we are usually moving. We move a lot. We never have any stability. From when we are young, every time we anchor into a place and start to enjoy it, it's time to move. It's time to move, So you even when we are young, we try and make friends, but sooner than later you leave, and then you go to another place, you try and make friends, then again you leave. So somehow we conclude for ourselves that, we're not supposed to have friends, we're not supposed to really put people in our mind, so we just give it up from when we are young. We just become people, we are the best to the people we are with when we are with them. After that, when we are gone, we are gone. I will leave a place and go to another place, and the people from where I've been will call me and they'll be like, have you forgotten us? You never call us, you never get in touch. But for me, when I move to another place, I look at the people the same way I've looked at the other ones. So I become friends with the people here because they are presently with me, and then I let the other ones go because I know I can't have time to have the ones from every place that I've been. If I was to keep in touch with people every place that I've been, I don't think I would have personal time. It would be too much, okay? So we never attach ourselves to people, really. We never really attach ourselves, okay? And also, it's hard for us to date, for me, since I really awakened to who I was, which is now from 2012, so that's 12 years, I found it really hard to date, because I can't act. Every time I meet somebody and maybe there's interest, and when the moment I get to know them and I realize they are not awake, they are not spiritually, interested in knowing who they are, I lose interest because then it's I have to put up with having to act, and it's too difficult for me to act, But I'm not. So we have very short relationships until we get to a point where we give up. Because mostly, for me, the last 3 years, I totally gave up on trying. I just decided, when it's time, I'll meet my fellow warrior and all will be well. But between now and then, I'm not really interested in just having company because for the sake of having company, for the sake of not looking strange. We don't mind looking strange also. our kind, we don't mind looking different. We don't mind doing things on our own. We don't mind taking ourselves out and sitting in a restaurant and be there for 2-3 hours by ourselves, just looking at people, just, we don't mind our own company. Our own company is the best because somehow other people always intervene or interrupt. So like it's not really lonely as people try to think. It's not lonely for us. It's not lonely for me to be alone. I prefer my own company than most people. Instead of being with someone who's not awake, where if I want to have a conversation, it's like you're fighting against what I'm saying and trying to make me seem like I'm the one who has a problem or confused. I would rather not. Because my spiritual team is very entertaining, by the way. For us, we get our entertainment from our spiritual team. They make us laugh. And in case people don't know, spirits are very funny beings. They have more jokes than people. And they have jokes that go with you. They know what makes you laugh. And I realized that they know moments which have really made me laugh, that they will remind me of from like years ago. Like if I'm feeling down and I'm pissed off and nothing is working, and then I'll just get these subtle reminders about things that happened years ago, and I just burst out laughing, and the whole, pain just goes away. So also, for us spiritual warriors, you usually at least know your rank. You've gone through a certain battle after which you are given a certain rank, and you know about it. Mine, I got through a dream. I went to this place where I lived for a while, for maybe about 5 months, and I became, though I had a relative there, my aunt, and she told me about this woman this woman had become a problem for this community. From when she had come, somehow the children became sick, more children died from meaningless illnesses. Children had stopped studying well. Children who used to be healthy and well had become strange and absent. So, and then I realized she was doing this. So I assimilated into the community, and I joined the church where she was praying. And so I realized that she was doing most of her spell casting at church, because this was you have a community, so there's a particular church, and most people go there. And that's where she was doing most of her work, at the church. And that's why for me I tell people, be very careful with these churches. Be very careful, because the most powerful witches and wizards and warlocks and sorcerers are at church. It's a very easy place to go and do all your evil. Okay? So I found out she was in this church, and in this church she was the head of Mothers Union, so she was very important. And she was also a deacon, and then she used to have a place in front where she sits. When she came in, all the young ushers would be rushing towards her. She's beautiful, She's beautiful, she's tall, she's light-skinned. She's really easy to see, and she's so pleasant. So pleasant. That's why for me these days I'm very wary of pleasant people. Because people who are pleasant are extremes in spirituality. They're either extremely actually good, which goes with their being pleasant, or they are extremely dangerous. Okay? So this woman was extremely calm, talks well, does everything, and people loved her. So once I start watching her, I also, I start trying to find out whether there are other people who have become aware of who she is. And I find out that there were other people in church, those that call themselves spiritual warriors, the ones that pray at church. They had seen her, but they were doubting themselves. So I come across this one lady who had seen her do something upon her child, and then she had dreamt it, she had prior seen it happen in her dream. And she saw her doing this thing to her child, and then after a couple of days, the child became sick. And then before the child became sick, she actually saw her at church do this same thing to her child. And then the child fell ill. And so when the child fell ill, she started to pray, and then the spirit showed her that this woman was actually dangerous. Okay? So when I come across her and we talk, and she tells me the story and what, I think, okay. So I now made it my mission to make sure that she leaves, because Spirit had told me I'm not going to leave this community until she leaves. I only will leave after her. And it wasn't a nice place. It was a place that had so many other practicing witches and wizards, and it wasn't a nice place. And there wasn't much work, okay? So, I'm a teacher these days, and the schools that were there were, So Spirit had told me I'm not leaving until when she leaves. So I put effort into it. So I started going to the church all the time. So I would go there very early morning, there are morning services where people come and have like 40 minutes of prayer before work. So I would go there and have those 40 minutes with them, got to know them, they were talking about, and they would feel. There are many people in our church, there are elders in our church who are doing evil things against us. That's why the young women are not getting married here. People get proposed to, then the engagements are too long. They had all these kind of issues, and they had sensed that something wasn't right. But most of them couldn't put their finger on it, being this lady as the head of actually all the evil that was happening there. So I get really involved into it. I go there all the time. Every time I went there, I would go all around it and, meditate, call down the spirit, call down the spiritual warriors, call down the spiritual lions, ask them to come and fight for these people here and the children, and, So I do this, and then there was a week when Spirit tells me, this week you have an advantage, there are services every day. I wasn't working at the time. So there were services every day. This was like prior to Easter time. So there was like prayer Monday until Friday, Good Friday, and then Saturday, and then Sunday was Easter Sunday. It was the week of Pentecost Day. Okay, anyway. So that week prior to Pentecost, which was on Sunday, there were all these prayers, so I attended from Monday. By Thursday, I decided I was going to fast. So I fast Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I was really ready for her. So Sunday morning, I'm there early. I sit in a place where I knew I would be looking at everybody coming into church. And then from when she entered, I started to fight spiritually against her spirit. And let me tell you, at the end of the service, she was thrown out of the church by a little girl, a 12-year-old girl. There was a 12-year-old girl that was prophetic, and she would go into the spirit and she would tell people of the church many things. This girl stood up, went and got this old lady and took her out of church and threw her out and closed the doors. And I said, okay, mission done. And so 2 nights later, that's when I got that spiritual rank. That's when I remember I dreamt and they gave me this spiritual rank, and there was all this celebration in the spiritual realm. So that's when I truly, truly understood that I was a warrior. Okay? So after that, I got my next work and I got pointed to where to go, and this is how I'm at this job at the moment. Okay? So spiritual warriors, we never have a place really. We can't say that I stay here. We can't. Until when we are done with our missions, that's when we shall find our place where we can truly stay and say, but even then it won't be that permanent. It will be your place, it will be to your name, but you would still be required to move from time to time. So those are the ones I know, spiritual warriors. Then the other group that I know are like those who were born in two families. They were born with people, the husband and wife, and a child amongst the children. And so these are the ones who it's still becoming difficult for them to break away, because they know that these are their brothers and sisters. They know this is their mom, their dad. So it's kind of hard for them to break away from these people. And also, you see, for us, we have a certain love that we know. We know we had love at some point, like really overwhelming good love. Them, they mistake it that it was from their families. But for us, we know that it wasn't from here. You get? For us, we know that it wasn't from here, because for me, when I try to look back into my life, there was no time when I was truly loved. But then I always know what love is. I always know how to treat other people with love. I always know how to care for other people, and I know what being loved is. So it's not possible that I would know if I have never been loved. You get? But it's because we were loved prior to coming here, so we have that memory. But for them, they think that that memory is from this family. And so they are too attached to their families. And that's why it's becoming hard for them to break free. Okay? They are like, this is my brother, this is my sister, we are born of the same parents, we grew up together. They don't understand how they can break away from them. It's difficult for them to break away. Okay? So I was talking to Spirit, and Spirit said, because personally I was angry at them for not trying to get away so that we can be done with this war. I feel like they're wasting our time as well. But Spirit showed me that for them, they are just different from us. They think that the love that they feel is from their sisters and from their brothers. They don't realize it's from somewhere else. It's from a place prior to this one, okay? So those are the other ones that I know. They are actually more peacemakers, okay? I call them peacemakers. They are children of the Most High who are peacemakers. Those are the ones. They're always in support of us. Like every time people get together to try and bring us down, they are always more sympathetic because they know that there's something about us and them. They don't know what it is, but they're always more in support with us. They never really judge us when everybody else is judging us. They are the ones that make it stop because the other ones know who they are. So usually when they're making judgment of us and saying evil things about us, it's because they're trying to make them distance themselves from us. Now, they are even distance. They will distance, but they will not dislike us inwardly. They never really harbor pain or hate towards us or do bad things to us because they know somehow on a subconscious level, they know we are one. We're from the same place. Yeah, so those are the ones who are still asleep because they were born correctly in the families and they don't know how to move on without it. Okay? So when you're meditating, us warriors, fellow warriors, as you're meditating, know that those are the people we are trying to break free because there is something that they have done. They are holding them in bondage. They don't know what it is. They don't really think about it, but they are holding them against their will. They have made them comfortable. They have stuck them into so much duty and responsibility. And that's why there are many of them are in churches. And where they're in churches, they always have a role, an important role in church. So it's almost like they cannot not go to church. They can't dodge. They have to be there. They're always being called for this and for that. So they are very busy. So they feel important. They feel like people are relying on them. So they feel that they have to show up. You get? So that's why it's also difficult for them to break free because they have so been assimilated that they don't think they are different. And you see, most of these people teaching about chosen seeds on the internet, they describe us, the warriors. They never describe those ones. So even them, when they read or they check up on who these other people are, the Most High's children, they don't think they are one of us. They don't think they are one of us. They know they relate to us very much, but they don't think they are one of us because no one has described them on the internet. People are describing us because for us who were always outside, we were never really into the families. We were never really like anyone else. So we were always easy to tell. Yeah? But these other ones are so into it and they're peacemakers and they're calmer than us. So that's why they're still stuck in that prison, spiritual prison. So these are the people that we are trying to break free from spiritual jail. We want them to really see their mothers, really see their fathers, their sisters, their brothers, their husbands, their wives, to really see them. And what has happened presently is now the whole families are holding on to them. So now they seem like at church they are so loved, and even at home they are so loved. Like the relatives, the sisters, the brothers are so attached to them. They call them for issues. They are consulted all the time. This is like a way of making them feel like they are important to you, and and they're always like, we are so grateful for what you do. I'm so grateful for your love. I'm so grateful for your understanding. So they feel like the responsibility to have to stay with these people. And yet at the same time, I know that they feel the drain. Yes, they help, but they must feel the drain that these other people put them through. And that's the one that I'm betting on, that they will shift, that they will start to know that something is not right here. Because you see, when you're with people who are of you, who are of the same as you, who are in the same spiritual spirit as you, you don't feel drained. You shouldn't feel drained. You should feel empowered. You should feel better. But when you come from being with these people and you feel drained, then it's because they are not the same. So I really, really would like for them, our brothers and sisters, to start listening to their inside, to start listening to your heart. See, your mind can lie to you, but your heart is always truthful to you. True to you. They will say that the heart is selfish, but no, the heart is selfish because it is about you. And there's nothing wrong with that. So these are the brothers and sisters that we need to break from the spiritual jail. So please, let's continue to ask the Most High, the spiritual ancestors and warriors and all the other guides and angels to break our brothers free from this spiritual jail and show them the whole truth about what is happening to them. Okay? So have a good day.